Hi there and welcome back. In this lecture, we are looking, as you can see, at questions and answers in the present simple. Something which is quite important to keep in mind and also to address with your students is how we use our auxiliary verb or our helping verb, which is do and does. The way I like to describe it, as I think I mentioned earlier in a previous lecture, is that our auxiliary verb or this helping verb carries our question, it carries our answer. By that I mean with our third person where the verb requires an S, as you can see here on the screen, our auxiliary verb carries that S for us. We only need it one time in a question, as you can see on this screen. So it is the strength, the strong part of our question. We'll also see this when we look in the past tense at questions particularly and answers. So keep in mind, do and does. The does takes the S. We don't need it in any other part of our question or in our answer. What I've done is I've prepared some slides for you here which are going to present examples of questions and answers. Now, after you've looked at that, we're going to examine how do we present this to our students? Pretty good question. First, let's have a look at the examples and then let's examine that question. See you in a minute. Hi there and welcome back. So you've had numerous examples of questions and answers, both positive and negative. So how do we introduce these in our classroom? My method is quite simple. I start asking my students questions. It's a really lovely procedure and the students will tend to mirror your language in their answers. The second step in this procedure is you ask a question of one student, if this is a group session, of course, and then you can ask them to ask the same question or a similar question to another student. So you can sit back, monitor progress, correct as necessary. But you're handing over that teacher talk time, this TTT, you're handing it over to your students, and there's much more student talk time. So I could start, for example, by, where do you live? What could I say? Where's a student name? I can't find one in my head. Where do you live, Sven? It's my example. And Sven says, oh, I live in Rodewisch. Okay, then I can say, well, where does Uwe live? Maybe Sven doesn't know. So you say, okay, Sven, can you ask Uwe, where does he live? And hopefully Sven will mirror what you've said and say, Uwe, where do you live? And so on and so forth. You might need, depending on the level of your group, you can change the questions, make them a bit more complex, but always do corrections live as they make the mistake. The other thing about corrections, of course, is to try and keep them positive and upbeat, not, no, that's wrong, Uwe. Rather, Uwe, you almost got it, but what might be better to say is, I live in Schöneck, or wherever the place is. So corrections should be positive. Make sure your students can mirror the language, give them an example before they start, and again, ultimately, the more positive and responsive you are, the faster your students are going to learn and the more they will enjoy the experience. Fantastic. Okay, I look forward to seeing you in the next lecture. And if you want some more information about this, just have a look in the download section, which you can find to the right under the course description. I look forward to seeing you in a minute.